Good morning, dear Dharma friends. It is December the 30th, 2020. I'm Robert Beatty. I'm coming to you from Portland, Oregon, a broadcast of the Portland Insight Meditation Community. If you're new to this broadcast, please be sure to check out the website, portlandinsight.org, and also my website, robertbeatty.com. There's a ton of useful information. Well, how lovely of you to join me this morning. Wonderful to see you. Familiar faces and new. Just this morning I realized, it's a ways off still, but we're closing in on a year of these meetings in the morning. Quite remarkable. And quite powerful. Quite powerful. So I have a gorgeous poem for you this morning. Again from Kim Stafford. Jen gave me the book for Christmas. Wild Honey and Tough Salt. Kim Stafford. A Portland poet. Marvelous man. My iron catastrophe. Everything was going to hell. In a few years, my marriage ended. My brother took his life. My father fell down dead in the kitchen. And by some elastic anomaly, nights grew longer, darker, and days grew gray. Food tasted of sawdust. Music withered. The sun was blunted by some bitter pall. Words failed. Feet grew heavy. Is this growing old? Then a friend demanded, on a trail into the wilderness, "What do you want, Kim Stafford?" "I want to be a good father." "No," said the friend, "not about your daughter, you." "I want to be a good writer then." "Not about words, you." I thought and thought. Sun spun a filament of web from one hemlock to another, and as the strand bellied and swayed, an iridescence swam from one end to the other. "I want to be honest," I said, "in parenting, writing, friendship, witness on earth. I want to be honest." "Yes," said the friend. "You have not chosen an easy thing, but you have chosen." In that moment, the catastrophe began to end, and the hard centering to begin. Isn't that something? Everything was going to hell. In a few years, my marriage ended. My brother took his life. My father fell down dead in the kitchen. And by some elastic anomaly, nights grew longer, darker, and days grew gray. Food tasted of sawdust, music withered. The sun was blunted by some bitter pall. Words failed, feet grew heavy. Is this growing old? Then a friend demanded, on a trail into the wilderness, "What do you want, Kim Stafford?" "I want to be a good father." "No," said the friend, "not about your daughter, you." "I want to be a good writer then." "Not about words, you." I thought and thought. Sun spun a filament of web from one hemlock to another, and as the strand bellied and swayed, an iridescence swam from one end to the other. "I want to be honest," I said. "In parenting, writing, friendship, witness on earth. I want to be honest." "Yes," said the friend, "you have not chosen an easy thing, but you have chosen." In that moment, the catastrophe began to end, and the hard centering to begin. I want to be honest. I want to be honest to this present moment. I want to be here. I want to be here and now. What an aspiration. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sangaya, Namo Sangaya, Namo Sangaya. What is true right now? What do we really have? We don't have yesterday, we don't have tomorrow. We don't have 5 minutes ago or 5 minutes from now. We have this. We have the ears, the nose, the eyes, the tongue, the feeling body, and the mind. We are a part of a great stream of awakening. As one of my early teachers, a man named Anagarika Munindra, said many times with great enthusiasm, the flame or the light broke out in Bodh Gaya and spread all over the world. Bodh Gaya was a hamlet. When I was there, it's a little city now, where the Buddha woke up. And so we take the seed of our awakening. It's not just another morning to meditate. This is the moment of waking up. Let's not wait for some fantasied future. Let's be receptive right in this moment. For awareness to notice the contact of the body with the chair, the life in what we call hands, the life in the face, and the coming and going of the breath. Let us root ourselves in breathing. Each breath has a beginning. This beginning falls away and it becomes the rising of the chest and abdomen. Rising falls away and arriving at fullness arises and then vanishes as the falling of the chest and abdomen occurs. And that disappears, and then there's ending. To be truly honest about our experience is to be here now. To feel here now. There is a mysterious awareness, awakeness, heart-mind fullness, which receives, which illuminates, which makes visible thoughts, emotions. the life of the body. If this is one of those moments when the mind gets quieter and quieter, why not rest more and more fully in breathing? Why not enhance or clarify the intention to be present in the sensations of breathing 100%. to rest in breathing like you rest in a hammock. Or maybe this is a moment when the hindrances are in blossom. Maybe there's some real craving, wanting something, or some real craving, wanting something not. Resisting what's happening in life. Maybe there's restlessness and agitation and a mind that's jumping all over the place. Or maybe sleepy dullness, sloth and torpor. Or perhaps doubt, conflicting ideas, trying to figure it out. Or maybe emotions, maybe depression, anxiety. Invoking mindfulness. Observing this life which is like a dream. Breathing in and breathing out. Can you perceive, know, be aware of the location of thoughts? We tend to believe, well, thoughts are in my head. But is that where they really are? In your honest, direct experience? And where is the experience of thinking known? Where is the experiencer? Can't be found. But there are thoughts. There is the experience. There is knowing. Notice how these phenomena come into being spontaneously and then go out of being. The human mind's capacity to imagine creates the past and the future. Mostly it does it on its own terms, on the basis of our conditioning. But we can use this imagination as well. And let us this morning do a brief visit to the garden of our goodness. And you can leave your body sitting right here, safe, contained. And you might like to imagine yourself in a favorite little forest glade, a meadow, or maybe at the beach, or maybe just in a rocking chair going back and forth, or some favorite safe place that you know. And allow yourself to be there resting. Maybe there are some birds around, maybe not. If it's the beach, maybe there's a slight wind, seagulls, ocean waves, or the rocker going back and forth. And let yourself remember that there's a trail, a familiar trail you've been on many times. It might be a trail up over the dunes or a trail into the woods. But let yourself take your trail and find yourself walking in warm, summery afternoon, perhaps. And you follow that trail for a short time or a long time, and as long as it takes. Stepping over roots, crossing small streams. And notice that the forest is clearing out ahead of you, and it may seem familiar. And walking forward, you see there's a clearing. And the clearing is, in fact, quite a large valley. There may be snowy mountains on one side, a beautiful blue lake. And you find your way to a rock, a comfortable rock, overlooking the lake. And you let your heart fill with much love. All the love you've ever imagined. And then you sense there's a presence. And you look over to the edge of the clearing and you see there's someone entering. It could be the Buddha. It could be Kuan Yin or Jesus or whoever is very inspiring to you. And your eyes meet and you know each other. You've known each other for a long time. And this person, this being, this energy comes and sits down beside you. And together you fill the valley with love and compassion, forgiveness, kindness. Why would you not? What better thing is there to do than think kind thoughts for your friends, your relatives, people you don't know, even or maybe especially your enemies or people you have unfinished anger or frustration with. And then there's another sense of someone else entering the meadow. And let it be someone that you've loved in this lifetime, who loves you, what's easy to love. And they too come and sit down on the rock and greet the Buddha. And now it's 3 of you, radiating love out to the world, filling that valley, touching the deer and the bears, the fish in the lake, the loons, all the crawling creatures. And another person appears at the edge of the meadow. And for them it's familiar too, and they recognize the 3 of you, and they come and join you. And together, in such a beautiful harmony, in whatever vocabulary you're comfortable with, you fill that valley even more full of love and compassion. And so it goes. As friends who've passed away, family members who passed away, all the beautiful pets of your lifetime, your dogs and cats and birds, acquaintances you met for a few hours on a train and opened your heart to, people you were in relationship with. And so the meadow by the lake becomes fuller and fuller until it's a standing room only crowd. Hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people just like you, all wishing goodness. May all beings everywhere share in the merits of our practice. And you know how to do this. It's very natural to you. In fact, love and compassion and equanimity are what remains when the greed, hatred, and ignorance fall away. And so there you are, now, in such good company, filling this valley and filling the world with love and kindness, with the capacity to overcome difficulty, the willingness to be totally honest with yourself and with everyone. And you can stay here for as long as time allows. You could be here for 100 years, or 1,000 years, or even just a few seconds is enough to remind you. To remind you what your true heart knows about belonging, about caring, about loving. And then when it's time to go, you notice how people just kind of drift away into the woods, all on their own separate journey. Until it comes down to you and 2 or 3 people, and then there's the bowing goodbye or maybe hugging. You have the extravagant pleasure of hugging one another. And then it's just you and the Buddha, just you and Kuan Yin, just you and whomever it is that is inspirational for you. And before you go, you stand facing one another. And maybe the Buddha has something special to say to you, like, I've always loved you, or you really belong here on the earth, or I'm so pleased with who you are. Keep up the good work of growing more and more loving and awake. And then you bow to one another, knowing that you can meet any time, that this place by the lake is always there. And you feel full, ready to face your life in a more open, content way. And you bow, and the Buddha walks back into the woods. And then it's you and the lake, and you bow to the lake and the life in the lake and around the lake. And you head back into the woods. No hurry, no time. Walking through the woods and over logs and through meadows, across little streams, until you find your way back to your place in the rocking chair, or your place in that little clearing in the woods, or that place in the sand dunes overlooking the ocean, with the wind blowing gently, seagulls in the air. And now you remember, oh yes, I'm sitting here. Was that a dream? Was that my real life? Whatever the case, it was real. And so notice, please, your hands and feet and aliveness in your breathing. And make the intention to bring this love and awakeness into your life today. Before you get up from your sitting spot, to clarify your intention. I want to be awake today, as much as I can. I intend to be as loving as I can, as compassionate and kind. Coming now into the contact of your body with the chair, the cushion. Feel the clothing all over your body. Notice the lack of clothing on the neck and jaw and cheeks and face. Profoundly alive, and now in your eyes. Notice their aliveness. Notice that you can will the eyeballs to move around inside their sockets. And now planning to let your eyes open and make the effort to lift those eyelids and to allow seeing to occur. And in this seeing, you may discover friends who were with you at the lake, or you'd like to take with you to the lake the next time. And of course, that experience of being a center, a focus of love, is available in any moment we remember. And it includes all of our unfinishedness, all of our personal neurotic complexity. Why wouldn't it? Because it all belongs here on the earth with us. I want to make just two simple announcements. One is, if you don't already know about it, there will be a PIMC gathering on New Year's Eve at 9. You can find the link for that in the digest. I'm not sure if it's on the website. And also Saturday, the 2nd, Paige Cogger and I will be offering a day-long retreat from 9 to 5. A look at how to, as consciously as possible, clarify our intentions for the new year.
Robert?
Tim.
Is there an upcoming series of classes about the 4 Foundations of Mindfulness? Is that still on?
Oh yes, most certainly. It starts the 20th or something like that of January. That's on the website for sure.
I haven't been able to find it on the website anywhere. Maybe I'm not looking right.
I will look, because it should be.
Okay, thank you.
It is in the digest. Do you get that, Tim?
I get some emails from BIMC
Uh-huh.
every once in a while. I assume that's the digest.
Well, there's the digest, which goes out on Connections, which is the listserv, and then there's also announcements for the classes that go out on our constant contact list. We have 2.
Oh, okay. I think I get the constant contact and not the other one.
Yeah.
I'll look that up.
Look for emails from Gregory Malouf, because Gregory and his wife Molly do that, so they come from him.
Okay,
But I'll check the website too.
okay. Thank you.
So, my friends, I remember you from sitting by the lake. Did you have a nice trip home? And that Buddha is quite the gal, isn't she? I suppose that's politically incorrect in a variety of ways. Oh, Kat put the link for registering for the class on the chat. Yay, Kat, thank you.
Robert, the New Year's Eve get together at 9 o'clock. You
Yes.
said the link was in the digest, so we don't follow this link.
No, it's a separate thing.
Okay. And we can find the digest through the website. The
Hang on, let me just look at something here. I wish this was clearer. All right, so I am at portlandinsight.org. The first greenish box on the left-hand side on my computer is live stream New Year's gathering with Robert, Kendall, Jim, and Gary. So that's right at the top of on the front page of the website. There's Winter 2021 Monthly Women's Rejuvenation Circle with Kendall. Well, I must say, this is not super clear. Winter 2021 class, Basics of Mindfulness with Doug Pullen. Well, I'm going to deal with it today. My class isn't up there that I can find. I will tomorrow post in the chat the information on my class so you can pick it up there. Yeah, it's a hole. It's quite a hole right here, and also for the retreat with Paige and me is not on the front page here, so it's hard to keep up with all the details.
Thank you, though, for doing your best.
It's all one can do, isn't it?
I loved the valley. That was really sweet.
And no one was wearing any masks. It's a COVID-free valley. You don't have to get tested on the way in or on the way out. I guess that's the benefit of not having a body.
Hey Robert, this is Vic.
Hello, Vic.
Good morning. I really liked your guided meditation and the description, and it brought to mind actually a hike that we did just 2 days ago. When was that? I think it was Monday night. It was clear. It was almost full moon.
Mm.
And so we went on a hike in the Columbia Gorge of Larch Mountain.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful hike. We got the lookout, and there was this bright moonlight, and we could see the faint lines of the Columbia Gorge because it was already dark. And then around the panoramic view around the valley, we saw St. Helens, Adams, Rainier, Mount Hood, Jefferson. And it was a really beautiful place, and it just kind of talked about how, the valley was right there in front. It's like, let me picture that, and it kind of came home. But then as we were coming back, it was a little icy, so we were wearing the spikes and hiking poles and everything else. Started trying to pay a little bit more attention to just movement. And I found that if I paid only bare attention to movement, I was aware of movement as movement. But if I tried to focus too hard and figure out where I'm going to put my next step because it was icy, I lost awareness of movement. And I know a lot of texts talk about bare attention. I was wondering if you could speak a little bit more about that.
Right now, please become aware of the clothing, of the sensations in your right arm where your sleeves touch. In the direct experience of that, is there anything to do with clothing or sleeves? Or is it really just sensations? That's bare attention. There's all these overlays. Oh, my sleeves are touching my arm, and oh yeah, I've got to get a new coat, and it gets very complex very quickly. And in walking, if we're doing walking, the actual sensations of the feet pressing against the ground, against the shoes, that can be observed with bare attention too. It requires no cognition, no thinking. It's just awareness and the experience. Same with a taste. Or you could imagine one right now. How about imagine either a really fine piece of chocolate, maybe a piece of Belgian chocolate, really good stuff. And imagine that. And so here's an imagination. And the Belgian part of it doesn't matter at all. It's just chocolate. Even the word chocolate doesn't matter. It's just taste. That's bare attention. And there's a beautiful Zen way. One of the little Zen story you may probably heard is, when chopping wood, chop wood. When carrying water, carry water. Just to be doing that which we're doing. And the practice of mindfulness, of being aware, well, here I am moving my arm. Oh, here I am sitting typing. Here I am driving, turning left, turning right. Those are all movements toward being just here in the present moment with bare attention to the actual experience. And one of there's a term called upaya, which means skillful means. Knowing what to attend to in a particular circumstance is very important. Like doing driving meditation, keeping the eyes open and keeping seeing primary is really important. But it doesn't mean you couldn't do sense door rotation, seeing, hearing, sitting, touching, and touch in on these other senses briefly while still keeping seeing going. Is that relating to your Larch Mountain experience?
It is, and I think one of the words that you said really strikes home, precognitive. These are precognitive sensations that you're aware of, as opposed to trying to think about them and kind of get into them.
And I think precognitive might be misleading because it implies that cognition then comes next. And it is non-cognitive.
That's a better word.
It's awareness meets experience.
Thank you.
And that's why mindfulness of breathing is misleading, because there's no such thing as a breath, right? I touched on that in the guided meditation briefly this morning, that observe the next breath. The start of the breath is gone immediately, but certainly way before we get to the moment of fullness. And then there's the decline, and the moment of fullness is ages ago by the time the breath ends, because all that exists is now. When we call it a breath, we're invoking memory, and we're creating something real out of something that really doesn't exist, which is something we do all the time. We create a past and future around every event. But the meditator's mind grows more and more attuned, and there's the in-breath, and partway through the out-breath, there can be this thought stream that happens. And the more attentive and in the present moment we are, we'll notice that too. A thought has its beginning, its middle, and its end, and it can be observed, and also just the fact of a thought can be noticed. And it has nothing to do with the content. That's all bare attention. Makes practice a lot simpler when all we have to do is be with what's happening in this nanosecond now. Even nanoseconds, the Buddhist world talks about how many mind moments there are in a second, and they say it's tens of thousands or more, whatever that means. But when you're walking with cleats on, you're coming down off Larch Mountain, just being there in the motion and being aware of where you're putting your pole the next time can be very life-saving. Did you go down to the valley, or did you drive up to where the car park is?
Yeah, we drove to the car park, and so we didn't do it all the way from the lodge.
Yeah.
It was about 3.5 miles, 1,500 feet of elevation.
From the lodge, yeah, it's a big hike.
Well, from the lodge, it's more like 4,000 feet of elevation gain.
Oh.
And almost 12 to 14 miles going from Multnomah Lodge. But from the parking lot, it's about 3 to 3.5 miles each way.
Oh.
7-mile hike, and you get about 1,500 feet of elevation gain.
Cool.
A lot of fun.
Nice view.
Yeah, beautiful view.
You have a very attentive dog there, Sky. Big ears. Look at those ears. Ha, amazing.
That dog's name is Maya.
Maya.
That veil of illusion.
Right. Queen Mahamaya.
Just wanted to clarify, Robert, the large mountain hike that I did, you cannot drive all the way to the top right now. They've blocked the road.
That's what I presumed. Yeah.
Yeah, miles. But in the summer you can drive all the way to the top.
Mm-hmm.
So about the meditation a little bit, you talked about looking for where do thoughts start
Mm.
and finding the place within ourselves, which reminded me of two different things that I had learned about. One was from Dr. Bruce Lipton, who talked about that all the cells in our bodies are really like receivers, like antennas receiving energy. And then Elizabeth Gilbert wrote in her book about how thoughts and ideas are kind of concepts that just come through us. So they don't exist within us. And if we put those two concepts or ideas together, we are like these radio receivers pulling in, just picking up thoughts as they go by. And to try to find that within my body in meditation, I'd never really done that level of observation before. And when we talk about thoughts in our head, it seems like we are focusing our attention as receivers within our brain. And it almost felt that way to me, that like in that prefrontal cortex, that was the area of where the transmissions that we're picking up seem to be concentrated. And yet these ideas are still, just kind of swirling by us. I don't know. Just throw that out there as food for thought.
That's a lot of concepts and people's ideas about how things work. And bear attention wise, is any of it true?
Yeah.
And what's one's experience? In my experience, I can't find a location for thoughts. They happen. They don't happen somewhere. They just happen. So all those little boxes that we have of concepts and ideas, I guess the Munindra, my teacher Munindra's terminology, when I would talk with him about many conceptual things, he would say, "Oh, take lightly, Robert. Take lightly. Hold the." He also said the same thing when I was freaking out emotionally. "Oh, take lightly." What do you mean, take lightly? I'm dying here. So, with all these ideas, we take lightly and keep practicing.
But when we put focus on it, it doesn't seem that like a thought is coming into our arm. Why is it that our head is where the thought seems to be? Take my lead.
I think that's something to observe. Is it true that thoughts have anything in experience have anything to do with the head, or is it because of our belief that thinking happens in the brain? Most of us, if you ask a Thai, apparently I've never done this, but I was told that it's true. If you ask a Thai, when you're thinking, where are you thinking? Watch me for a second. They point here. They don't point here. And we know they're wrong because, of course, the brain is the source is where we think. Well, is it? And so the task in our meditation is to get beneath all the concepts and ideas and discover what really is true, what's honest, without concept. And, I mean, many of us have an unconscious belief that there's a little person who sits just about where the pituitary gland is. And this person, it's like, has the controls. And now I'm going to turn to the right, now I'm going to turn to the left. Now I'll lift my leg. And that there's a little person somewhere that controls things. Also, the thoughts occur around that little person. And of course, that's not true. And the Buddhist hypothesis, and it's to be tested, is you'll never find anybody there. You'll never find some place that you are. Because in fact, we're everything. And we can talk and think about it and drive ourselves nuts, of course. But it's something to experiment with in our meditation, to really watch. And we have lots of opinions and ideas that we've been given by our culture, and lots of them simply are not true. Though the election really was stolen.
Hey Robert, it's Michelina.
Michelina, hello.
Hi. I was wondering if you could tell us where we could find the Buddha's words talking about how you'll never find anybody there, and you'll never find any place where you are because you're everything.
If you were to go to accesstoinsight.org,
Okay.
and type in anatta, Anatta, oh, I must have misspelled it. Anyway, type in anatta, and you will find a huge pantheon of writings from the Pali Canon. And you can poke around in there and you may find something very interesting. You will find something very interesting. You might also put in not self. And you'll find a lot. I mean, it'll be huge.
When you get lost in there, perhaps?
Well, if you lose yourself in there, great. I went into Access to Insight and completely lost myself. I've been reading for 6 years now, and I haven't been out of my bedroom. had just put something on the chat about Ajahn Sona, who's up in Canada. Oh, a great source is Ajahn Ajahnsona on YouTube. Dhamma. How cool. Haven't seen any of those. I think I'll spend the next 3 weeks watching Ajahn Sona.
Ajahn Sona actually has a 10-day retreat on metta. It's on YouTube. I just discovered that. It's amazing.
So, anybody sitting with something you want to share before we end it today?
Robert, this is Had. I'm recalling a sit you guided us in. We did a 10-day retreat up in Canada about 10 years ago, and you had us visualize. I remember, maybe this is not true, but I recall visualizing a rod going through our brain, X and Y coordinate, almost like that. Do you recall that, or is that? Could you say anything about that? No.
Sounds painful.
Well, no, it was visualized. It was very clean surgery.
I see.
You don't know the things you do on retreats.
It's another person, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It actually reminds me of a movie, The Black Robe. Anyway.
Robert, I just want to share something, and I don't even know how to frame it. I know that in my attempts to sit lately, I just have so much restlessness and agitation that it can be excruciating, and I know that I'm probably just coming on stuff that's really painful that I don't want to feel and I don't want to experience, and I know that in order to actually do the honest presence with it, right? In order to not try to squeeze away and wiggle away, it requires a lot of safety.
Yep.
And support. And I'm just going to share that I'm at a loss at how to approach some of this stuff other than to maybe just let the heart be tender, and try to just let it be what it is. So I don't really even know why I'm sharing this with a group. It doesn't feel safe, even though this is probably one of the safest groups that possibly could exist. But, and part of it is like I'm up here in Seattle, and it almost feels like a pseudo attempt to try to belong to something that I don't really belong to. And I know that's probably old stuff too. So, I mean, it feels like there's a large dredge taking place here, and it makes practice really hard. So, and I know that doing some practice will help. For me, with my sleep patterns, it's hard for me to arrive every morning, because if I get up for it, then sometimes I'm just so tired during the workday that I can't really function when it comes time to teach my lessons, my music lessons, and so it's at any rate, I'm just sort of sharing a sense of lostness. So,
what a very remarkably vulnerable thing for you to do.
Sometimes there's nothing left but to do it,
And
So.
And there would be greater containment and trust if we were 6 or 8 people together in a room. So sharing in this context can be useful, but you won't feel the same thing here as you would with people you knew and loved and so on. So So I want to really acknowledge your pain with this. And yes, it's true that sometimes in our lives, let me say this a different way. I couldn't tell you how many times someone has come into my presence on a retreat or in my office and said something like, I was meditating every day for a long time, and then I just stopped. And then I have a question that I ask, which is, did some event happen at that time? Well, oh yes, my father died, or my mother died, or I lost my job, or something happened, which then created more dukkha than the person, the living system of a person, could handle on their own. And so very sensibly, they stopped doing sitting meditation because it was overwhelming. So what to do? I would suggest this as a first step. Don't so much, well, if you want to sit, do metta, do loving kindness meditation. Work with the mantra, may I be happy, may all beings be happy. Build up more concentration and suppress some of this stuff that's emerging. That's one thing. Another is do walking meditation. Do running meditation. Do jumping jack meditation. Use up some of the energy of anxiety and fear and so on that's in there.
Wood chopping meditation?
Absolutely. Wood chop. Beautiful. Right. I mean, do you heat with wood, or do you do wood chopping regularly?
Largely, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I love splitting wood. I mean, here you've got your block, you've got this whole action, this bringing the axe over and aiming at a spot, and so that it really is a powerful meditation.
It's true, and you learn very quickly if you are not able to focus.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad your whole thumb is there still. That's good.
Me too.
Splitting kindling can have its price. So, and to recognize, to really
be compassionate and get the grub beetles out of that piece of wood before I put it in.
There's that too. So, I mostly I just want to validate that this is a hard time for you, and it really is. And you know, if you had a therapist, this would be a time to get in contact with them.
Yeah, I have one I can see every couple weeks or so.
Yeah. But to be merciful with yourself and don't try to just sit. Sometimes sitting is the wrong practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ruth Dennison taught us all kinds of things to do, but if just sitting is too overwhelming, even just take your arm, for instance, just take your arm, try this now with me. Take your hands, bring them up over your head. Let the fingers touch baby finger, fourth finger, middle finger, index, thumb, separating thumb, index, middle, fourth, baby finger, lowering the hands mindfully. Lowering, lowering, lowering. Maybe doing the same thing at the bottom. Touch, 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 touch. Break, 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 break. Raising up again. Or turn, turn. And do it for 10 minutes. Do it for 15 minutes. Do something that your body, like I need to twist. I'm getting stiff in my spine. And so just twist all the way and twist all the way and come into your body, which is a much bigger meditation object, more intense in a way than the breath, and might be very helpful for not getting so spun out on the emotion stuff that's coming through.
I think some of it is not even just internal, but being a more of an empathic person, you know? I mean, having grown up in a spot where I had to be highly attuned into my environment, you know? And all of the joys and why this superpower that so many people have this, you know, have. And of course the current environment is so pretty stressful for
right. Well, for those of us that have that empath capacity, there's the practice of pulling up the drawbridge and lowering the portcullis, that thing with the inside, and seal the gates.
Right.
And keep everything the hell out. It's like, enough. Turn off the TV, turn off the news, turn off other people's needs. Just get out of me.
Yeah.
And that's, it reminds me, I was, a few years ago, I did a little retreat. I have friends who own they own a mansion, actually, in Colorado, in Winter Park. Beautiful ski resort. And I went and I was there for about 6 days. And after skiing one day, I had a fall, and I managed to find a masseuse who was also a shaman. And we were talking a little bit, and somehow or another, I mentioned to her that I was using Insight Timer. And she was talking about my boundaries were way too open. And I mentioned that, and she stepped back and said, "Why in God's name would you be announcing to the world when you're meditating? You need to disconnect from the world. Get all that energy off you. You don't want to." And I stopped. I decided, well, that's makes sense. Here I am going into my most vulnerable spot, and I'm saying to the world, "I'm meditating." Nope. Pull up the drawbridge. Not anybody's business.
Yeah. I know that there can be, it's like if you're veering into the left ditch, you need to steer right, and if you're veering into the right ditch, you need to steer left. And
right.
Sometimes the roads are potholes all over and ditches, and
yeah.
It takes a lot of skill to navigate. And so, but yeah, I appreciate it. It's like a combination of the drawbridge, portcullis, boundaries, right?
Yep.
But also reaching out. And I guess maybe there's sometimes you have to reach out from a place of asking for support,
yep.
as opposed to being the person who's always giving it.
Well put. Did you listen?
That's a pretty challenging task.
I was introduced yesterday to a book that I have yet to look at.
I actually did do that yesterday, and it's vulnerable.
Yeah,
so
of course.
It's extraordinarily vulnerable, and I used to not ask for, it's actually something that I think maybe as a 46-year-old man just last year I actually did truly effectively. So.
Joan, did you intend to raise your hand? All right. Well, I need to go soon. Is there anybody sitting with some? We could obviously continue this for quite some time.
Yeah, thank you for just listening. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Aaron.
Really, truly.
Let me say something directly to you, okay? You're really worth taking care of. It's important for you to take care of yourself.
What book, Robert?
Oh, trauma. I got the middle word wrong yesterday. Trauma influenced mindfulness. Trauma. It's a book about mindfulness seen through the trauma lens, and many of us, as we do our meditation, it reveals the unfinishedness in our lives. And for some of us, that's significant trauma. And that's when we need contact with a teacher, community, therapists, and lots of love for ourselves. Okay, dear ones. I have a meeting I need to get to elsewhere in the city, so Let's sing our way out of here. See you tomorrow morning. Last day of the year, right? Tomorrow? Yeah. You ready? May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Bye-bye. Thanks for coming this morning.
Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Trauma-informed mindfulness. Someone Leanne put in the chat. I think that is it. All right, bye-bye. Happy day. Conscious day. Goodbye, friends on